Welcome back, welcome back.
Sonia Sotomayor. Justice Sonia Sotomayor the rails yesterday. She asked concerning this Mississippi abortion case. Her question, I guess she thought, was poignant. Will this institution, she said, speaking of the Supreme Court, will this institution survive the stench that this creates in the public perception that the Constitution and its reading are just political acts? I don't see how it is possible. So, Ms. Sotomayor, Justice Sotomayor, is suggesting that unless the court rules the way that she wants it to rule, by her way of thinking, that the stench that would be created in public perception would reveal that the court is just acting politically. That is a really interesting position to take. She wasn't through. Justice Sotomayor compared
Speed trap reported ahead
to brain dead people. Virtually every state defines a brain death as death, he said, arguing that pretty much the fetus is nothing more than a lifeless, brain dead being. And just because it moves in the womb, he says, yet yet the literature is filled with episodes of people who are completely and utterly brain dead responding to stimulation. Their feet, the spontaneous acts by think that a response necessarily proves pain or that there's consciousness. It is really horrific.
Shelly, TBS, what's up?
Her outburst and others caused this debate. After playing a bunch of remarks, including Sotomayor's stench remarks, Whoopi Goldberg got on her high horse. Do any of you men, she said, have carrying a fetus? How dare fetus want? You have. I'm fine if you disagree with the with my doctor and my family. Yeah, well, a remark that Justice Samuel Alito made, an interest in having a life, and that doesn't change before or after viability, or when an unborn child can live outside his or her mother's uterus. Yeah. Another one of the women on The View took to her anger over the 15-week period, calling it arbitrary. This is what the Mississippi law allows up to abortions up to 15 weeks of pregnancy. Arbitrary. Call Republican, liberal scolded Trump, of course, saying be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. Well, Ms. Navarro, many of us were very happy that we got Donald Trump, who was pro-life and who did not waver from it and who did not turn tail and run at the slightest bit of controversy. So we'd be happy to have him back, Ms. Navarro. The liberal host on the show, Sunny Hostin, says she opposes abortion and reiterated that as a Catholic, but she said she would never confuse church and state and wouldn't impose her beliefs on others. Isn't that lovely? She criticized Justice Amy Coney Barrett as disingenuous. Never spelled out what was wrong with Amy. He just called her disingenuous. I'm fearful about Roe and... What happens? The decisions are made state by state basis. You people in liberal New York have nothing to worry about because the liberals in this state... I do, after we get through, want to revisit this. Sotomayor's remarks, reprehensible. Reprehensible. Justice Sotomayor, perhaps you should go put your nose next to the baby parts that are being harvested by Planned Parenthood. Most of those body parts amputated from fetuses belong to black and, as you would call them, people, young babies of color. If you want to know what stench is, put your nose next to that. To an organization that dismembers babies and sells their parts in the interest of so-called science. I am sorry to be so graphic, ladies and gentlemen. I understand many people don't want to hear that as a description. I apologize. And a Planned Parenthood laughing of babies while the organization was quote-unquote harvesting their body parts. I doubt that there is nothing in our society that could be more stenchful than that, Justice Sotomayor. But that is something that you dare not address. James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Sternley, we'll be back. We've got plenty to do. Don't go away. Entertaining and informative.
Head to your drop-off at Wingate by Wyndham, Long Island City.
Yeah, we're going to Queens. We're going to Queens, Long Island City.
Estimated time in traffic, 7 minutes.
Order today, and Pajamagram will also include a free matching naturally nude nightie with the purchase of naturally nude pajamas. That's free gift packaging and a free naturally nude nightie when you order today. Just go to pajamagram.com. It's fast, easy, and delivery by Christmas is guaranteed. That's pajamagram.com.
financial wealth. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for you to diversify with gold. Call my friends at Legacy Precious Metals. Legacy, the company you can trust because they give you unbiased counsel based on your individual financial circumstance. Their expertise has over 40 years of combined experience. Inflation? Yes. Real and growing threat? You don't have to look. Go to a grocery store. Go fill your car up with gas. You see it every day. Take steps right now. Don't delay. Take steps to protect yourself. Contact Legacy Precious Metals today. 964-0616. One more time. 866-964-0616. Or visit Legacy Investor's Guide. Oh no, it's politics. And so much more. A true connection. Southern WABC. The Twin Soul, Aretha Franklin, are just back here on Talk Radio 77. WABC. As we enter the holiday season, 2021. We are so pleased to be joined with a very special guest, Mark Meadows, former White House Chief of Staff. Welcome, Mr. Meadows. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well. It's great to be with you. It's great to talk to you again. And thank you for always bringing the truth to the American people.
Thank you. I'm going to have to ask you, if you know what, and this is not how I wanted this interview to go. But you're all over the news yesterday.
Supposed to reach at 8:54. That's another night, so I know, just letting you know because it's in case I have to be very specific. Yep, you can lift the charger. Plug it in, or make sure you back up all the way to the car actually hook up and the charger is very short. Charge that should take like near the loop or something like that. Yeah, charge up to like 200. See from the speed. Tell me about that. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's definitely makes me want this. That is Harvey Jordan. Inside. I ain't gonna get the shit in Brooklyn though. Get that townhouse and a new one. And I show the needs the style of townhouse, the round stone part, the triangle, the one. You know, check them out all the time. Yeah, the whole block was boarded up and ain't cracked every time. When the time they host them, they have like a 20,000 actually. About the name of to struck them like that. But I know a few million. Obviously somebody's buying it. And that's all like poor people that they don't want it around. Some movement, but I still have most of my work on there. You know, I touch the code, the one day, you know. Maybe. Yep. I'm not touch the you know what that is. The only thing we should have mirror better so when the crypto they go up to 7 times, step 4 times. Now we're going back on the 5. Right there, 5 somewhere. Yeah, just take a look at him, Eugene. You don't analyze your losing. Everything above where you stay. Okay. So, yeah, structure, I think now, you know, if you have a class, what if you consult with them? Then you don't consult with them, you get a very good class. Things like that. You see the one when they go to church? Yeah, when they go born in the Kilimanjaro. That one knows them and they just use it for their money. Yeah, man. They are one disciple of everything. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they cope the thing, real thing. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. No, don't tell me yet. No, I need to watch it. And listen, they don't see what I go for the man and co-op the things there. No, no. No, don't tell me. Oh, yeah. No, yeah, I'm not true. Me now,
I've got a real secret. A secret that designers architects and they know how to protect your delicate home furnishings and exquisite textiles. Go to allcleanfiberstore.com,
You've probably heard of NRIA. NRIA is an industry-leading real estate development firm and developing strategically neighborhoods based on supplier They are a great fit for safely oriented investors with cash flows and They'll help you make the switch over to Pure Talk. Keep your number, keep your phone, or you can get Pure Talk's Black Friday pricing on phones like the iPhone 12 for just $479. Unlimited talk, text, 6 gigs of data. That's just $30 a month. And with your 30-day free guarantee, you listen it, nothing more free. Go to puretalk.com, use the promo code WABC, and you'll save 50% off your first month and save on a new phone. Go WABC, Pure Talk, City, simply, smarter, wireless. Some restrictions apply. Go visit their website. You'll get the details. afternoon, Rich. Where should we start on the telephone today? All right, James, good afternoon. Let us begin this afternoon in Lefty, New Jersey, and say hi to Lisa. Lisa, welcome. How are you this afternoon?
Hey guys, I'm good. How you doing?
Just fine, thank you.
Perfect. Mark is great. The one thing that I haven't heard from anybody really discuss with this whole abortion stuff is why are we not teaching in school young kids how to respect their bodies like when we were younger, how to say no with all the contraception out there. It really is a problem. It should be a problem. Like the whole self-respect thing has come out the window, and it makes abortion like a drive to get it in.
Talking about what folks call abortions of convenience. And here's what I take issue with Justice Sotomayor. What she says is if the decision to uphold Mississippi's law, which by the way still allows for abortion up to 15 weeks, she says that would create a stench. It would delegitimize the Supreme Court. Roe v. Wade was one of the most political decisions this country has ever seen. And she wondered how the court would survive, how we would survive. We would survive this time, thank you. America survived through various iterations of abortion, quote unquote, not abortion. that they deal in. Give members parts from babies. That is where the stench lies. WABC Talk Radio 77. Rich Twinkle. Break here. We'll continue with the phone. We go to a break right now. Let's do it. Thanks. Talk Radio 77 WABC. WABC Traffic and Transit. And Detective Keepers, very heavy traffic heading into Rockland County with a stall on northbound New York State Thruway approaching the Palisades. And the Lawrence southbound Deaconess chance to have been at Corbin Park with an incident on the southern end of the park. Westbound crosswalks over an hour ride from the Buckler and up to the GWP. Staples connected with savings on Honest Holiday Tech right now in the Lenova. And PM pad 5 on it with Intel i7 processor, just $649.99. Staples Connect, the working and learning store on JTLS WABC. This is Maurice Julian. The Soldier Salary Foundation is making the holidays brighter for the nation's Gold Star and fallen first responder families with young children and catastrophic injuries and first responders. For many of these families, the holidays are a tough reminder of the sacrifice they hero made for us. The foundation is giving away a piece of home a day from Thanksgiving through New Year's Eve during a season of hope. With each mortgage-free home, the foundation is delivering on its promise to do good and never forget. For some of these families, they have the comfort of knowing that they can stay in the home that they picked with their loved one, the home where they made precious holiday memories. For families in a new home, they're creating memories they'll cherish forever. All this is possible because of your generosity. Joe Biden wants to take away your access to 1031 exchanges. So beat Sleepy Joe to the punch by going to SaveThousandsInTaxes.com. That's SaveThousandsInTaxes.com. Or call us at 650-898-1200. That's 650-898-1200. Radio 77 WABC. Welcome to the golden age of radio. James Golden, a.k.a. Bose Nerley, is on 77 WABC. Well, you guys got a chance coming up to do it all over again, and let's hope this time there will be Republicans in every single precinct, and not leaving when Democrats come up with some excuse. Oh, we want to just stop for a few hours. Oh, no. We'll stay here as long as you are.
I'm hoping and praying, so that it goes well for Georgia. But I just want to thank you for the book that you've written, and because I'm reading that now, and for being a long-time Russ sidekick, because I love Russ, and I'm a long-time listener. And I just want to let you know, 1 hour is just not going to be enough for you to be on the radio now, because we
And I thank you for that. I shall pass those remarks on, and we shall see what happens in the future. But thank you. I appreciate those kind words about the book, Francine, and of course about Rush. You know, this is going to be a tough holiday season without our El Rush Bowl with us, but yeah, we're going to make. Where do we go, Rich?
Let's go to Bergen County and say hi to John.
Hello, John. Where are you at in Bergen County? If you don't think you want to reveal, where are you?
In a deep bunker underground, cement and concrete.
Good.
Bergen County.
All right. What's on your mind, John?
By the hotel, yeah? Oh, sure. You have a good day. Happy holiday. Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. And the dragon, Yato. Careful.
I heard what Sotomayor said live yesterday, but it really sent shivers down my spine. She was basically threatening the entire country, and if anybody doesn't see that, that's what the left are doing. We're going to make the court work for us, or we will destroy it. And you,
Time to go home now.
the Supreme Court is the #1 public enemy of the left. There's a huge target on the Supreme Court, and they are going to try to do whatever they can.
Home sweet home.
Right thing. Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you, John. Very insightful call. Where do we
Yep.
And so where do we go next?
New Jersey and speak with Eli.
Hello, Eli in Lakewood. How are you, Eli?
Eli, New Jersey.
I'm doing great. Listening to my phone. I'm actually about to go for a run and I was just wondering, how is it that for so many years we didn't know about, like, we only know you as a psychic, we never, your voice is so perfect for the radio, and how is it that we never heard about you until then?
Well, you know, people at WABC kind of heard about me years ago. I used to do a show on WABC on the weekends, James and Joel, with my friend and partner, Joel Santista Band. We got to talk with Joel one of these days. I miss him. And then I used to do a show on Sunday nights called the James Golden Show. But that was ages ago. Yeah, but I'm glad to be back home here at WABC, and thank you for those kind words, Eli. I appreciate it. Time for maybe 2 or 3 more. Where are we going, Rich?
Let's say hi to our friend Carol in New Jersey.
Welcome, Carol. What is on your mind this afternoon?
James, how are you?
I'm good, Carol. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I love the fact that you named yourself after Bo Jackson. He's one of my favorite athletes.
Lovely, thank you.
You know, I grew up in a town that was like 90% Catholic, and we never even heard the word abortion. It was never mentioned, never spoken about. I think it's terrible, actually.
Well, you know, let's see what happens here. Democrats are beside themselves with the idea that their sacred Roe v. Wade, which is like a religion to them, could actually be altered in any way. They are losing their mind. This court, and let us remember 2 things about this court. This court makes up for Madison Hospital without 2 men. One of them is Mitch McConnell. The other is President Donald Trump, who stood by the American people to deliver the kind of justices that would pay attention to the Constitution. So if the justices do their job, we could be in for one of the biggest shakeups in America since 1973-75. Anyway, thank you so much for the call. Give us a bit back sometime, eh? We'll try for one more. Let's do it quickly.
Sure, let's go to Bayshore and say hi to Mark.
You've got 25 seconds, Mark. Make it count.
Hello, Bob. It'll be lightning quick. Number 1, the 2 greatest surprises I've had from ABC Radio have been yourself and Lydia Serrano. Both of you, I love you both. Hey,
Thank you.
I wanted to say this. Choose the nameless, faceless, spineless Democrats who sit idly by watching Manchin and Cinema take all the heat for all the things that they do. Shame on you. And
You nailed it. Thank you. All right, folks. Again, if you're in Midtown, drop by 59th and 5th. Watch the menorah lighting. John Cassidy and Margo are there. And Rabbi Joe Patel.
released a riveting report leading to Cuomo to resign under threat of impeachment. James is running for governor. Cuomo charged with forcible touching for allegedly groping an assistant last year at the executive mansion in Albany. He says the allegations are false. It was touching though for a while today on the east side. The standoff between police and a man with a shotgun outside the UN coming to a peaceful end after almost 3 hours. The NYPD's top cop, Dermot Shea, and second in command have filed for retirement. Shea and First Deputy Commissioner Ben Tucker reportedly will step down from the NYPD at the end of the year. The U.S. confirming its second case of the Omicron variant. A man living in Minnesota recently traveled to New York City for an anime convention at the Javits Center. Officials urging thousands who attended the convention to get tested. Keep it right here for Cats at Night next. And a reminder, be listening at 5:30 when John and Margot Cassavetes and Sid Rosenberg light the world's largest Hanukkah menorah at forecast around clouds with tonight, slight chance of a shower. 40 tomorrow, sunny, cooler, high 43. Outside the 77 WABC Midtown Studios, 56 degrees and cloudy. Traffic and transit is next. I'm Bob Brown. And remember, the news never stops at WABCRadio.com.
beginning. I mean, really it started at his earliest days as a senator for Delaware, and he then internationalized it when he became vice president and had carriage for places in the world that are of strategic importance to America, such as China and Russia and Ukraine and Romania and so on. And
we know that Joe Biden lied to the American people during the election campaign when he said that he knew nothing about Hunter Biden's overseas business dealings because he was intimately involved in them. I mean, he met Hunter Biden's business partners from overseas multiple times. He met Mexicans and Ukrainians and Russians and Chinese and Pakistanis. Then he met them in Beijing. He met them in Washington, D.C. He invited them to his residence as a vice presidential residence at the Naval Observatory. He met them at Cafe Milano, which is an Italian restaurant in Georgetown. And Hunter Biden then organized a dinner in a private room there in 2015 with his Ukrainian and Russian and Kazakhstani partners. And Joe Biden went there and you know, his campaign denied that he'd ever met his business partners during the campaign. And then, you know, in July, when I wrote a story in the New York Post about this dinner at Cafe Milano, lo and behold, the White House admitted not to us, who ignores the New York Post, but to the Washington Post, which was trying to do a fact check, that yes, Joe for any nefarious purposes, and he was only there briefly. He was only a little bit pregnant, in other words. So I think that what we see is really a pattern of confabulation, fabrications, tall tales, call it what you will, throughout Joe president. We also see that that's collided with this very lucrative influence peddling scheme that he and his family have run around the world, and now it threatens to, you know, jeopardize and compromise America's national security, with particularly China, which is, you know, a strategic threat to us and to America's allies as well.
What I've said on our previous shows, and I've said that in the last 9 months since President Biden has been president, the price of oil has doubled. We're making Russia rich. We're making OPEC richer. We're making China rich because they're going to provide all the batteries for the electric cars in the United States, or 90% of them. And when they needed lithium to make the batteries, we gave them Afghanistan. Now, America is getting poorer, and we're enriching Russia, China, OPEC. Does that smell? I mean, you know, I asked American people to put two and two together. What say you?
Well, yes, and look, unfortunately, this has been the pattern of Joe Biden's life. As a senator, he was Duchessed by the Chinese. He was invited very early on in a delegation to China. And in fact was sort of embarrassingly cloying about China and saying what a wonderful place it was for America, and that, you know, it's not a threat. And he was actually criticised at that time for sort of embarrassing America by being so sycophantic. And when in 2001, when China wanted to join the World Trade Organization, not 2001, earlier than that, but it was actually during the Clinton administration, and Joe Biden was instrumental as a very influential senator, and he managed to sort of get a lot of his wavering colleagues to agree to allow China into the WTO. And of course that was the beginning of the decline for America, because American jobs, manufacturing from the heartland just disappeared. And so, I mean, Joe Biden has really been at the forefront of that diminishing and impoverishing of America.
Miranda, half the world has seen the Joe Biden video when he went to the Ukraine and threatened the Ukraine and said, if your investigators doesn't stop investigating my son, well, I'm not going to give you the $1 billion that the United States wants to give you. I'm going to withhold the check. Now.
Yes, I mean, he didn't say it like that.
How did he say it? Tell me how he said it.
So he that Victor Shokin, who was the chief prosecutor in Ukraine, was actually corrupt himself, and that he had to be fired because he was not investigating corruption in Ukraine. And in fact, the opposite was the case. Victor Shokin at the time and I mean, that's evident from not just documents, but also from contemporaneous media reports in Ukraine and elsewhere in Europe, that Viktor Shokin was conducting a corruption investigation into Burisma, the Ukrainian energy company that was paying Hunter Biden $83,000 plus a month. And in fact, just a few weeks before Joe Biden called for him to be fired, Viktor Shokin had organised for the owner of Burisma's property to be seized in Kiev, mansions and plots of land, even a Rolls-Royce Phantom car. And so this was an active investigation. And also, Viktor Shokin has said since in Ukrainian interviews that his next port of call was he was going to issue subpoenas for Hunter Biden and for his business partner, Devon Archer. And Joe Biden went to Ukraine and very forcefully threatened the government there that he would withhold $1 billion of US aid, which they desperately needed. This is a very impoverished country which had just come through the Maidan Revolution and a kleptocratic regime previously that was Russia-aligned. And they needed the money. And so Viktor Shokin was fired, and then the heat went off Burisma, and Burisma managed to get away with, I think, a $5 million fine or something, and all the trouble went away for the Bidens. And so,
Miranda,
this was, yeah.
Gut feeling, is President Biden doing things like that to maybe the leadership or the political types at the Justice Department or at say you about that? Because there should be an investigation. There is by foreign governments on Hunter Biden, shouldn't there be?
Yes, I mean, I totally agree with you. And look, we do know that the laptop, which Hunter Biden abandoned at the MacBook repair shop in Delaware, John Paul McIsaac, the owner of that shop, sort of like 8 months later, handed it over to the FBI because he thought there might be something on there. The upcoming impeachment of Donald Trump, because it was a lot about Burisma that. And that was December 2019. To do something with it, whether or not they have, whether or not it's fed into these ongoing investigations that are going on about Hunter Biden and his uncle Jim Biden, Joe Biden's younger brother, we don't know. And we know the wheels of justice turn slowly, so maybe we can have some faith that something will come out of it. I think any law enforcement agency that does take a look at the laptop will find a lot of interesting information, and when coupled together that puzzle also with the information that Tony Bobolinsky provided us from his emails and documents, he was a former partner of Hunter Biden, and also another partner of Hunter Biden who's in jail. A lot of Hunter's business associates did end up in jail, and Bevan Cooney gave a lot of his information to emails and documents to Peter Schweitzer and Matthew Time and two other journalists who kindly shared some of that with me. And then also, very importantly, you had Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson, the Republican senators, of Hunter Biden's Burisma and corruption, and they had access to financial records from the Treasury Department. These are so-called suspicious activity reports, which banks provide to the Treasury Department if money is coming into the country, a lot of money from sort of suspect sources, perhaps from people who are sanctioned in Russia.
To remind our listeners, our worldwide listeners, we are speaking with the author of Laptop from Hell, the #1. It's already #1, correct? On
#1 on Amazon. Yes, it's already to #2 now. Yep.
Wow, and we're speaking with Miranda Devine. All of these steps that President Biden has been taking, some people are saying that he is maybe not mentally competent at this point.
I'm not sure about mentally competent. I'm sure, but who in our government, if you put politics aside, who should be investigating this? Judge Weinberg?
Miranda, I was very impressed by the articles I read this week in the New York Post. Two important points. One, that Joe Biden himself is expecting a 10% cut in the China deal, and very significantly how the media has suppressed the story from the very beginning about the Biden influence peddling games being played by the family and perhaps by then Vice President Biden.
Who should be investigating this?
This is clearly something that the FBI and the Justice Department should be.
If the Justice Department tells the FBI don't do it, is there anybody at the FBI that can do it?
I think Miranda had made a point earlier in another interview. She pointed out that this is a story that the White House is going to ignore unless there's pressure put on by the mainstream media, that is, CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times. As long as the story keeps coming out in the Post and on Fox, the White House is going to ignore it.
How about WABC?
WABC, right now, we've been talking about this, but the point is, this has to get some sort of public recognition. That's the only thing that's going to move the Justice Department and the FBI. What say you, Miranda?
You're spot on. It's not, public recognition. The country is split between, I guess, conservative media and Democrat-leaning media. And the Democrat-leaning media are the only ones that the Biden administration cares about. So as long as the New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN story, they will ignore the story. They will hope it goes away. And they will also bank on the fact that, the audience, half the country, is not going to be aware of this. And, we know that that's important because there were opinion polls after the last election which showed that Biden voters, almost half of them, were unaware of the scandal of the laptop and were unaware that Hunter Biden and his uncle Jim Biden were under investigation, which, of course, nobody knew until after the election because they kept that secret. And furthermore, if those Biden voters had known, then something like 1 in 10 of them in battleground states would have changed their vote. Now, considering there were only 45,000 votes that sealed the election in those crucial battleground states, that could have made the difference between winning or losing the election. So it was really crucial for the Biden campaign that this story be censored, as it was by Facebook and Twitter immediately that it went online. And Twitter, in fact, locked the account of the New York Post, which is the oldest newspaper in the country, the 4th largest audience in the country. It locked the Twitter account, so we couldn't.
It's something that Moscow would do, isn't it?
It is actually frightening. I think this story really revealed for everybody, and I guess they had to come out of the shadows, big tech, their power, revealed their power because it was 3 weeks before the election and it was a desperation time. They just could not afford for Donald Trump to win again, so they crushed this story. And I think that was a signal to a lot of people, even independents, even people that didn't like Donald Trump, that this was pretty scary, the power of big tech. And then, of course, they basically deplatformed the sitting president of the United States. So and Emmanuel Macron in France, who's no right winger, he thought that was appalling as well. I mean, people around the world seem to be even more shocked about the power of these unaccountable oligopolies have over, they're more powerful than the president.
And what about...
They're more powerful than the media.
Miranda Devine, thank you so much for coming on and telling the truth to the American people. Now, tell all the people about your book. It's called Laptop from Hell.
It's called Laptop from Hell, and it's available all good bookstores, Barnes and Noble, and
Amazon.
Million. Of course, Amazon. Yep, and it's just going gangbusters. In fact, we actually ran out of hardcovers yesterday, but there's they did an emergency printing of paperbacks, which are now available, and also they've got some new in 9 days now. I'm told there'll be a new batch of hardcovers coming online, and the audiobook's going gangbusters.
Miranda Devine,
and also the Kindle.
Miranda Devine, thank you again for speaking out, and I pray that that President Biden is innocent. Otherwise, if not, it borders on words that start with a T
and rhyme with reason.
And I do not want to use those words. And Judge Weinberg, I understand you have another comment?
That's what I find particularly troubling is that during the campaign, when the information about Hunter Biden's laptop came to the surface, the Biden team trotted out 50 so-called intelligence experts, Clapper, Brennan, and a whole list of other notables who said that they thought this was Russian disinformation, that this whole story about a Hunter Biden laptop was not true. It was out of the Russian playbook. And at the end of the day, it was all BS. At the end of the day, it was a laptop, and it is Hunter Biden's laptop, and they had a lot of intimate information that clearly showed that it was Hunter Biden's laptop. Correct.
But thank you so much for doing all the research, and God bless you.
Thank you, John, and lovely to talk to you all.
A station built just for you. Entertaining talk, information, and New York opinion.
That is the stupidest, dumbest, most idiotic idea I ever heard of.
The world famous and American original. Talk Radio 77 WABC and WABCRadio.com.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Cityside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical breakthrough. The WAVE technology at Cityside Medical Clinic was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now. And not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 646-715-5555. That's 646-715-5555. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Cityside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 646-715-5555.
35 years ago, Mannheim Steamroller released an album that revolutionized Christmas forever. The album that started it all, Mannheim Steamroller Christmas, will be performed live in its entirety for the first time ever. Come celebrate America's favorite Christmas tradition. Mannheim Steamroller Christmas by Chip Davis. Talk Radio 77 WABC. Cats at Night celebrates the season with the lighting of the menorah. Now, here's John Cassidy.
With Judge Weinberg in studio and on site. He had to literally run out of here. It's John Cassidy along with Sid Rosenberg. They're 59th and 5th, lighting the world's largest menorah. I hear the Christmas music, holiday music playing. How are you, sir?
I am great. Let me tell you something. It's a beautiful evening on 59th and 5th Avenue in front of the largest menorah in the world. 59 feet up, and it's so nice. I don't think I'm even going to wear my coat. And, I got Curtis is here watching my back to make sure my back is okay. And, but it's a beautiful evening. I remember last year, it was so cold, I think I was growing icicles on my nose.
I remember being and my fingers were like glue. I couldn't even feel them anymore. So I'm jealous that this is like this spring type of weather.
Yes, look, listen to that
Hey, stop yelling red. What were you yelling red? Red apple. Take it easy. Baby cameras yelling at the iPad.
What went through your mind? Okay, all right. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. And I believe they can also watch the menorah lighting at WABCRadio.tv. I believe. So just go to the website, WABCRadio.com. You'll see John Cassidy and Margot as well as Sid. A little bit into the weather. Largest menorah on the 6th night of Hanukkah. Speaking of Hanukkah, my tribesman over here, Judge Weinberg. I wanted to bring to your attention, Judge, and get your reaction. That's why I didn't want you to hear the soundbite first. I wanted to play it and get like a
It's red, Mama, it's red. outside is hot.
A pretty logical question. That's been rampant all across the country. Take a listen to the exchange.
Criminals when they want to go loot a store at CVS, Nordstrom, Home Depot, and tell us the shelves are clean. We think
I think a root cause in a lot of communities is the pandemic.
Real estate, stock market earning 5 to 7% annual returns. Investing in the stock market are only doing it for one reason, because they don't know a better way to get better returns on their money. But there is something so much better. It's called Amazon Motivator. Basically how this works is what this corporate guy partnered with an exclusive set of high net worth individuals. Anyone who has more than $10,000 saved in the bank. And we create massive Amazon businesses on autopilot 100% for you. You might be asking yourself, well, why are we actually literally just making these businesses for? So, well, there's a couple of reasons. First, we love to see our students have a massive success.
And how long does this work going to stay in business? 900 stores are being closed by CVS. Large measures, the reason they're closing 900 stores nationwide is because they cannot protect.
Go away, far, far away.
Large numbers of neighborhoods are not to have CVS pharmacies. I asked you, where are the people going to get their legal drugs to take care of their children and their parents and themselves? So there's no drugstores in particular communities. And what communities are those? The ones that supposedly the BLM group is most concerned about, the minority communities. So what you've done is you've created a culture of lawlessness all across the country. You have district attorneys who now prosecute. You handcuff the police. You demoralize the police. You should be supporting the men and women who protect us. Without law and order, there is no civilization. Without civilization, there's chaos and madness. I'll say you.
What I say is that most of the victims of all of these crimes are people of color, the very people that these regressive, I love that phrase, which I are supposedly trying to protect, and that's why this is so frustrating. They are such hypocrites. You hear Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is so divisive. She was on a Twitter storm, by the way, Gus. She was comparing the Republican Party to members of Black Lives Matter. They're calling for a boycott of white-owned businesses, the same businesses that have been funding Black Lives Matter. More people, more Black lives have been lost as a result of Black lives than ever before, and more of the majority of people being killed are Black people by other Black people.
Someday somebody's going to write a history of this time, and we're going to say as follows: have we totally lost our minds at this moment in time in American history? You have to have one order to have civilization, as I just said. You have to support the police, as I said. You have to enforce the broken window theory, go after the little stuff so that the big stuff doesn't get out of hand. When you create an environment, a culture where lawlessness pervades, what do you expect is going to happen? We have to do what's necessary. So you have big corporations acting in a sycophantic manner by giving hundreds of millions of organizations, and self-appointed organizations, Black Lives Matter across the country. Did that money go into the minority communities to set up police athletic league centers, swimming pools, daycare, drug treatment programs? Where did that money go? I'd like to know that.
What are you talking about? Patrice Cullman put some mansions. What are you talking about? It's a gated white community.
I'd like to know where he ordered that. So that was rich. Biden wants to have
Moment like this, moment like that.
And the first door they need to knock on is Hunter Biden, because I doubt he even paid taxes on what was that $3 million jewel that he got from wherever, a Russian oligarch. I mean, it is just so insane what is going on. And I think about Colin Kaepernick, you know, that guy that claims...
I gave back my Nike, by the way. I want the record.
I mean, the guy's making millions from Nike, and it's a white-owned business, and Nike is slave labor. The Uyghur Muslims that are enslaved in China. So So talk about hypocrisy. He's like, yeah, black fight the power, black this and that and this. And meanwhile, he is profiting off of slave labor.
And they never criticized the Chinese government for its suppression of minority groups, of its slave labor, of its total empowerment, of its grandiose ideas in national and international stage to try to take over big segments.
Look at that blue building, that's cool. The MetLife building, you see the blue? 230 Park Avenue. That look like a bottle of vodka. MetLife building, the blue building is 230 Park Avenue, just before the MetLife building. Look how cool is that? I think I'll have problem to cross. Yeah, I think there's no crossing. Yeah, I think it will be a problem to cross. Yeah, dilemma. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can cross 49. Let's see. This guy going red. Crazy. Moment like this, moment like that.
Yeah, so there's education, drug addiction, and mental health, all those things together.
You know what this is like? It's like somebody who's morbidly obese and we're like, hey, here's a KFC, go eat yourself to death. If we really wanted to help these people, we would build hospitals for them, not clinics for them, so they can overdose and die. And on that point, yes, in this holiday time, I'm being so uplifting, aren't I, Judge Weinberg? We talk about such joyous topics, but these are the real topics that we have to do it.
Have hope, but we have to have realistic hope. And you cannot put your head in the sand.
Moment like this, moment like that.
And come up with reasonable solutions. We have to give up the succession we have between left and right, and the ideological warfare. The real problems involving real people in our society, and we have to work hard to deal with them. We have to give up the ideology and take it between ourselves.
I couldn't agree more, and I think there are a lot more common sense people out there than these massive corporations and the Biden administration and a lot of those radicals think that they are, and they should be more afraid, like John says, of the common sense Americans than the AOCs and the Ilhan Omars and those other whack jobs. Can I say whack job? Is that okay? Is that a legal thing?
That's a term of all.
When we come back, we'll be talking about the Omicron variant. Apparently, we know this already. It's here in New York City. It was here in New York City. We're going to have Dr. Mark Siegel. We'll be right back.
Talk Radio 77 WABC. WABC, traffic and transit. In Tracy, a big jam up on Route 3 with the police westbound, really from 395 out to Rutherford because of an accident. It's blocking out several lanes. There's also a broken down bus on the outbound helix of the Lincoln Tunnel. Figure on a 20-25 minute delay outbound at the Lincoln. Outbound Holland around 30. Celebrate the season, save with special one-day transit fares, plus discounts to popular destinations. Whether your adventures take you to the city or throughout New Jersey. .com/holiday on J888 WABC. Real estate is one of the most tax-efficient investments and a great way to diversify your portfolio. But the hassles and costs of managing properties is about as much fun as having a root canal. Hi, Greg Hughes here with Hughes Private Capital, a real estate investment company. We pay our investors a set monthly income, which is backed by the strength and safety of our portfolio of over 1,000.
Send me a fax. The fuck trying to send me a fax? Who the F trying to send me a fax? iPhone is not a fax. Could be interesting feature. You get a fax and you go to document.
Doing it together, we're coming back and keeping NYC the safest big city in the country, with the NYPD taking guns off.
Of NRIA. NRIA is an industry-leading real estate development firm in its 15th year, developing strategically located, lower-risk, high-demand neighborhoods based on supply-demand imbalance. They're a great fit for safety-oriented investors who want cash flow and diversification into carefully chosen real estate. Learn more about the NRIA Real Estate Development Fund at nria.net. Call 800-800-1414. That's 800-800-1414. And offer of securities is only
I like it moving. I like it moving.
NRIA is a real estate development firm. Learn more at nria.net. Talk Radio 77 WABC. Cats at Night celebrates the season.
Good job, Joseph.
Welcome back to the John Cassidy's Cats at Night show. I'm here, this is Lydia, with Judge Weinberg on the scene. Is John Cassidy and Sid Rosenberg at the world's largest menorah at 59th and 5th. Sid, it seems like it's beautiful outside. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, Lydia, I can barely hear you, but what a difference from a year ago. Last year, there was about 10 people here, I swear to you. And it was the coldest night I could remember in my 54 years. I swear to God, it was that cold. It was brutal. You were out here, in fact, interviewing me outside, Lydia. You remember it was awful. Tonight, I think probably close to 55 degrees, and there's about 150 people. It is hot.
It's your bulging muscles. That's why you had to take off your coat to let them breathe.
Yeah, maybe it's some of that too. But I know it's really so. I'm going to tell you, I actually got warm, and but it's amazing, Lydia. The crowd is huge this year. Nothing like last year. Huge. It was all the way back to the Plaza Hotel, and a beautiful winter scene right outside the Plaza Hotel. And like Margo and Andrea, they just showed up here, and John is here too. So we're getting ready to.
I hope it's not closed, Joseph Taylor.
I remember last year, you got really emotional up there. You wear your dad's necklace every single day.
I do, and people that watch me on television, that some YouTube videos on TV, they'll notice that about 7:15 every morning, that Netflix video which you just pointed out, I actually kicked the charm that says number on that. And my dad walked 30 years. Every month, you can see that live on television. So I am wearing it, and I'm wearing it right now. I've been being called over now to the judge. So head on up and light this door.
Yeah, I hope it's not closed. Let's see. When it's closed, I have to type it here.
Dad is smiling down at him, extremely proud of everything that Sid has accomplished, and how far he's come.
Did you know that Sid's wife is a lawyer here performing?
Really?
That's right. And she saw me one day, and she said she looked very familiar. I said, I remember you that judge, he yelled at me. And I said, wait a minute, it's nice to see you. And she said, you know where he yelled at me? And I said, listen, I've been Irish.
told me tonight that he's 8% Jewish. Did you know that?
Yes, we did.
Wait, Dr. Siegel, the church is wondering. I heard about the 6%. When did it go up 2%? Is that inflation?
Because you're a judge and I'm a physician. We physicians exaggerate in a positive direction. You judges keep it exactly right. So you're right at 6%.
Well, Dr. Siegel, speaking of exaggeration, this Omicron, right? Or is it like the Greek way to say it?
It's Omicron.
Omicron. Right. Oh, I heard that. What is going on? I mean, now we're hearing about a Minnesota man. He traveled to the Javits Center for an anime conference, some kind of, what is that, like a cartoon thing or whatever, and there was about 50,000 people there. Now the governor of New York is asking anybody who's there or is concerned to get tested. Do we need to worry about this? Because that person that contracted the COVID virus, he's already fine. He's already, recovered and experienced very mild symptoms.
Fear is the biggest virus here, and what fear does, it's the hardwiring of the brain, and I've written books on this, and basically you over-personalize the risk. So if you're anywhere within 200 miles of there, you think you're going to be next. Minnesota or California.
49th Street is closed.
This is the way it is. It's super close. And it's not paying attention to the fact that, here's the facts so far.
See, look.
It looks like, by all the things I can glean on this, that it's going to be responsive to the vaccine. That in South Africa, there's an outbreak going on, that's for sure. But those who are being hospitalized are not vaccinated. So
You see, 49th Street is closed. We have to go try 451.
Focus on boosters. There's also the sense that
Sorry, Joe.
as easily transmissible as Delta, somewhere in the same neighborhood. And it may end up being milder than Delta, which is what happens with strains as pandemics continue. That's how we got out of the 1918, by the way, because we ended up with strains that were milder that outcompeted. Why? Because the virus wants to survive, and the way it survives is by spreading, not by killing. So there's a lot we still don't know about this virus, but we're being hit with words like mutation and, multiple mutations and immune evasion and all of this stuff. And I'm not trying to make light of it because I'm taking it quite seriously, but we got enough of a problem with Delta, and we're turning into a chronic panic mode, and that's not very good for our health.
I saw an article from Dr. Siegel, which concerned me, and then I read and kept reading about it, and it seemed to me that the reporter drifted away from the first thesis. First thesis was, and this is a doctor, South African doctor, who said that the
Yogi Baron, Shalom,
really
Shabbat,
6 months by the latest
Hanukkah Sameach.
variant. And there was not going to be a vaccine in time to deal with it. And that was the header of this article. And then, as I kept reading the article, it said something really different, which is what you've been saying, which is that as the variants continue to get weaker and weaker, even if it's more or less transmissible, it's easier to handle. People with less risk as long as they're vaccinated, and they're at less risk of death and serious illness. What say you guys?
Yeah, and one more point that was very well stated. We don't know that this is going to be able to outcompete the Delta variant, which is all over the world and is responsible for 140,000 new cases over the past 24 hours in the United States. We got enough problems with that. We don't know that this is not going to outcompete it unless it's more transmissible, and we don't know that yet. And I certainly don't think it's going to be all over the world, and that, it's all over the world now. It depends on your definition. Isolated cases get a lot of media attention. As far as the vaccine is concerned, the current vaccine, I just said, I believe it's going to cover it. On top of that, if we decide we want a more targeted vaccine, they're already at work on that, and they're going to have it not in 3 to 6 months, but in 90 days. In 90 days, they'll be able to mass produce a targeted vaccine for this if it's needed.
I think what you said was very, very important about the fear element. It may well be that there'll be other variants as we go down within a year.
The Black 49, 50.
But ultimately, as you correctly pointed out historically, it wears itself out. It weakens and weakens and wears itself out.
You have to
The
walk.
fear factor is enormously consequential because people are not seeing their doctors, they're not getting necessary medical treatment, it's stopping certain kinds of
Oh, yeah. 51 is open.
closed down economy.
Let's go.
All of
Let's
these
grab it.
mental health issues with people being isolated, and we have to deal with that as well, don't you think?
51 is
I call
open.
that the second pandemic, and I think that and when drug abuse is up, and suicides are up, and depression is everywhere, anxiety. Lancet did this huge worldwide study and concluded that immobility is causing all this anxiety. Decreased travel, decreased even going out, and all of that threatens to come back. I mean, we know the president said today that he's not bringing it back at this point, but still there's a hypervigilance going on that's very disturbing. And as you said, it could hop from one variant to the next. And one more thing, I don't know that this is deliberate, but for sure politicians use fear to control. As you know, Judge, they use fear to control us. And I mean, they're plugging into the same fears that we felt a year and a half ago. I mean, we need a change of rhetoric, don't you think?
That's exactly right. I think
Or a change of leadership.
what we need, or certainly a change of policy, we need what they call a midterm correction. We need to stop panicking. We need to address the real issues.
See,
People should get vaccinated.
see if I can tell him to pick up the disabled passenger.
They should be dealing. And that's not the case in the public schools. It's the elderly. And you have to use common sense in this situation.
You know, it's incredible. I was watching MSNBC, and the commentators were claiming that Republicans want COVID to continue to exist in order to make Democrats look bad. It's like, are you serious? We want Republicans or conservatives or independents, common sense people. This is the last thing we want. I mean, I just don't even understand. I feel the opposite, because as long as the pandemic exists, so will their control over the people.
Not to mention the economic disaster that we're talking about we're spending. I mean, nobody that's sane could actually believe this economy would be doing well right now. I mean, with things shut down, garbage in the streets, cities in trouble, lockdowns threatening us again. I mean, to emerge economically, I believe we have to actually be free of this thing or figure out a way to deal with it. That's why I like vaccines. Vaccines are a big tool. So are these antivirals, and so is massive testing. Rapid testing.
Yeah, I need to pick up a disabled passenger. Yeah. But the disabled passenger is waiting.
Sir, you move up. Yes, you get nothing in.
He's like, DM me a prescription. Tell me what CVS to go to. I need an VPAC. You'll get better, but you know what? There is no great wealth and health, so God bless you, Dr.
See, I tried the
Be
police
well,
thing.
stay well, and thank you for all that you do, bringing the truth to the American people.
Thank you, Dr. Deeply appreciate it.
My pleasure. Great to be on with you guys. Thank you. Happy holidays.
They don't care.
When we come back, more news that you need to know.
I should go 51 in the beginning. I shouldn't listen to Joe. I should go 51 Street from the beginning.
Traffic and transit. Big jam up on the direct approaches to the George Washington Bridge, south and northbound. Beacon jam, westbound Cross Bronx, backed up from the Bruckner Avenue GW. On the outbound Upper Check, there's now an accident. West Side Highway is your best bet. It's no walk in the park. Outbound Lincoln with a 20-minute delay. Big jam up on Route 3 westbound. Out to Rutherford. This is because of an accident. Celebrate the season, save with special NJ Transit fares, plus discounts to popular destinations.
Give it a shot. Give it one more shot.
NJTransit.com/holiday. Start saving on J-Tronics WABC. Get the new book from David Bonson. There's no free lunch. Wherever fine books is sold. The reviews are in. Someone trustworthy says David's book.
Give it a shot. One more shot. From Park Avenue to 51. Maybe I can go to.
What they need to know about economics.
Otherwise, I'm going to give up.
Your understanding of economics will benefit and expand by reading this superb book. That trustworthy someone is me, Larry Kudlow. So get the new book from David Bonson. There's no free lunch.
One more shot.
Wherever fine books are sold.
Guys, 2021's been a roller coaster year. So spoil her this Christmas by giving her the next best thing.
All day via was lined to the office there. Let's try to play a trick on him. I'm gonna try 51 from Park Avenue. don't care. They don't care, the officer.
That's free gift packaging and a free naturally used nightie when you order today. Just go to pajamagrams.com. It's fast, easy, and delivery by Christmas is guaranteed. That's pajamagrams.com.
Radio 77 WABC. Cats at Night celebrates the season. Now, here's John Cassidy.
Welcome back to the John Cassidy Cats at Night show. John is not in studio tonight because he is lighting the world's largest menorah on the fifth night of Hanukkah. John Cassidy, can you hear us? I think he's up on the crane as we speak.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, I've got the torch. I'll make talk. We're not going anybody. All right, ready. It is lit.
Beautiful, yeah.
It's fantastic.
So let's rest them.
As you say in Italian, Mexico.
We're here on the top of the menorah. We are lighting the rest of the menorah right now. I'm going to ask you very dear friends, Superintendent whom we know for many, many years, candles are made to do well. He's a wonderful nurse. He's a wonderful nurse. Thank you, John.
Live, John Cassidy at 59th and 5th, lighting the world's largest menorah on this fifth night of Hanukkah.
And we're right on top on 59 feet up. And it's a beautiful evening. And beautiful menorah, beautiful Christmas decorations. It's a great day for New York.
You know that world's largest menorah is 28 feet wide, and it's about a pound or something incredible like that. I would think that we would have the world's largest menorah in Israel, but right here in New York City, and that's what John Cassidy is right now.
Dick Rosenberg and other high school students up here with us.
They're feeling better.
I'm up here with Rabbi Butler. Michael Weinstein is hanging another kingdom. Is Sid Rosenberg after that? Is Sid Rosenberg after that? On my left is the outlet door and the General Motors building, the old General Motors building. And on my right is the Plaza Hotel. Down there is my wife, Margot, and it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Margot. My daughter, Andrea, watching over us. And God bless America.
Well, you just heard from John Cassidy. He is live at 59th and 5th, lighting the world's largest menorah. He's there with Margot Cassidy. It's her birthday. She is 29 years young. Sid Rosenberg is feeling a lot lot better. I think he got his V-Pack. I'm Lydia Serrano here in studio with Judge Weinberg. Judge Weinberg, look, it's just the two of us. Just the two of us.
One of my favorite songs. It's wonderful. I was thinking about this. I think my wife the other night, we were watching one of these Christmas shows on Netflix or Hallmark shows. And I said, this is my favorite time of the year.
Yeah, you have a Christmas tree?
We don't have a Christmas tree, but we have to know that I love Christmas. I just adore season, both for the Christians and the Jews, and all people of goodwill and faith. It's very inspirational that people appreciate our families.
Yeah, I need to pick up a disabled person. I have to pick up disabled person. Disabled person, yes. Disabled person I need to pick up. Oh, I got through. I told him disabled person. He should let the other bus go by because the other bus was picking up disabled person too. Yeah, I got through. I lied to him. I told him picking up disabled person. Woohoo! Woohoo! We made it. Hopefully we made it. Oh, on and on. Just show my friend. No, I'm off. I'm off. Yes, I'm off. I'm gonna show my friend the train. See the train? This one. She was flying yesterday. Finally. Enjoy. You call Uber? They're gonna come soon. Enjoy. Okay, we're gonna continue. This is American Girl there. If you need a toll for Aya, American Girl. Take a picture. Take a picture. Quick, before I go, take a picture. Can I take a picture? Okay. Let's continue. Everybody's here trying to take a picture. Yeah, what I didn't make yesterday, I'll make it today. Yeah. Now Times Square. Times Square. Radio City. buy baby, one tomato, and close the shop. sugar, no papa. Telling a lie, no papa. Johnny, Johnny, eating sugar, no papa. Telling a lie, no papa. Johnny, Johnny, eating sugar, no papa. Telling a lie, no papa. Jewish people of the Slovenia. Iripo. Arriba, arriba. Trabaja. La casa. Comida. Arriba, arriba. La casa. Comida. Casa arriba. Happy New Year. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. We wish you a Happy New Year, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Feliz Navidad. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and Happy Hanukkah too. Scooter. Spanish music. Spanish music. Cubanese, Spanish music. Motorcycle. This great the whole. I get copyright all this drive-by music. Copyrighted this drive-by music. Here we go. Come on, people. Come on. Come on, people. Keep up the good job. Here we go. Tomato time. Happy holiday. Thank you, everybody. Tomorrow, peace and love, peace and love. Yan, makorre.